Hello folks, I'm back with another one. I hope you're well, I hope you and your family are doing good, and I hope as we draw really close to Christmas that you've managed to get everything that you want to get sorted, and hopefully you've got plans to spend a great Christmas period with loved ones and family members and family get-togethers and all those nice things that you associate with Christmas. On this one, folks, I want to speak about a sort of more in-depth issue where I think it does contribute to someone's desire to gamble, or no, that's the wrong word, but likelihood to relapse. And that is the pressure. I touched on it a little bit in the last video regarding how, for some Christmas can be a time of pressure. But I want to tie a different angle to that this time, where for me in my recovery, I recently worked a hell of a lot of hours, and I would spend very little time on doing the things that are generally considered good for you, such as exercise, obviously, and eating well, which I'm not doing that at the moment. But one thing also is sleep, and where I relate this to pressure is, for example, in my scenario, and it'll all come together what I'm saying in a moment. Me, I sort of worked all these hours and thought I was doing great because I was providing for my family. And don't get me wrong, I'm not doing the most labour intensive job in the world, but I'm doing a job that requires a hell of a lot of concentration and a hell of a lot of hours, and so getting the sleep is essential. It really is, for the concentration needed, and for the energy levels as well. But also there's a pressure when I finish those long hours to come home, spend time with my family, my child, and so on, as well as friends and family, and doing hobbies, where my hobbies are, I really enjoy having a game of snooker. But for me, snooker's not just, go and have a game of snooker and have a chat. For me, is snooker's something that helps to fill the void left by gambling. So I look at it as taking a medicine. So it's more than just an hobby to me. It really does me mentally well. So I'm trying to fit that in as well to this small window that I've got from when I'm not at work, these ridiculously long hours, to see my family, to see other people, to do tasks, might need something taken somewhere that we really need to do, or a meeting with a company or something regarding a debt, or counselling, or there's a variety of things, everyday life, that most people have. And to fit hobbies in, but more importantly sleep, into that, I took a wrong turn, and I would quite often do a very long shift, maybe 15 hours by the time I got home, and from leaving the house it probably best part of 16-17 hours. And sometimes over a 3-day period I would find myself only having maybe 5 or 6 hours sleep in a 3-day period, and I would walk around like basically like someone who's had 6 hours in 3 days, really like a zombie, really. And I just carried on doing this, carried on until one day I went to work and I just couldn't do it. I just could not do it. I'm not in the best shape physically. I don't look after myself in that way, which I am ashamed of that as well. And that is something I want to change. But also the mentality was, well, I need to do all these other things as well as work, so I can get by, and I just couldn't, and I reached burnout very quickly, in maybe 4 months. And in this period, everything that was wrong, everything that I sort of, was worrying about or thinking about in a negative way, seemed a hell of a lot worse. And this is where it will tie into what I'm saying. I was so tired all the time, everything seemed a lot worse than it actually was when I had clarity and I had been to sleep and got sufficient amounts. And I almost relapsed in that period, and I've absolutely no doubt in my mind that some of that was me in a state of sleep deprivation, feeling so much pressure to go and do these hours to support my family financially, feeling as though it's this big massive weight on my shoulders, which it is a big pressure, but it seemed even worse. And ultimately I nearly gave in to that pressure. We was in a dire financial mess, as I described in the last video, and yeah, I didn't look after myself in not just the exercise and healthy eating way. I was depriving myself of much needed sleep and thinking that I can just keep going. And why I think that's important to touch on, that people should get sufficient sleep and should look after themselves as much as they can. And obviously I am not a picture of health. I don't have a six-pack. I don't have the ability to run for 1 minute, never mind a marathon. I accept I'm a mess, really, and I am looking to change that, seriously looking to change that. But I think in general sleep is underrated, not prioritized by people who are under pressure. And for me, that can contribute to someone's mindset and how they feel. And if things are seeming a lot worse than they are, if things are seeming unbearable, and then you add in sleep deprivation, it can easily make you want to escape how you're feeling. If you're worried about finances, as I was, and you are in a bit of a mess financially, and then you add in sleep deprivation, where it'll seem 100 times worse than it already is, then again that can make a decision to relapse or to gamble easier. And I can't stress enough, like, if there's anything I have learned, a big lesson I've learned over the last couple of months is, well, what happened is I had 8 days off work. I was just burnt out. I think I had 8 days off altogether, and it wasn't until the 5th day of that 8-day period where I began to feel not tired, basically, and a little bit normal and clear in my thinking. And I realised how much it had a massive impact on my mindset, on my decision making. And for me, it's such a, basically, if you're struggling anyway, don't make it worse by not getting the right amount of sleep, because it really can have a massive impact impact on your decision making, your stress levels, how you view the pressure of life, of finances, of work, of remaining gamble free. And for me, I've learned that now I need to provide for my family. I really do, and I always will. But there has to be a point where I also need to protect me, to protect that income, if you like, protect me, because I need to be able to go out there and work and not have to have 8 days off. I need to protect my mindset a little bit more than I was, because ultimately that can lead me back to gambling if things become overwhelming and so much pressurized. So I hope, I do try to put things across in the best way I can. I might not have come across how I want it to, but I think what I'm saying is, if you are struggling, you don't want to be making it much worse and adding so much more pressure to yourself by, not getting the right amount of sleep and everything seeming that much worse than it is. Because ultimately that can make the decision to gamble or to relapse much easier. And I think it's a point that's not spoken about a lot, but it is a really a sort of important part of our journey into gambling addiction recovery, basically. So yeah, I'll catch you on the next one, folks, and I hope you have a good festive period. Take care, folks. Cheers.